Hey everyone, so you know how most budget audio interfaces just give you basic preamps and maybe a couple of free plugins that sound pretty thin? They're fine for quick demos, but when you try to mix a full session with real analog character, you hit a wall fast. Well, I ran into that same problem last month when I was trying to track and mix a live band session on my laptop. That's when I decided to grab the Universal Audio UAD-2 satellite USB Octo core. It's not cheap, but it solved every bottleneck I had. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, this thing is basically a little rack mount brain that sits on your desk and runs UA's entire catalog of plugins without bogging down your computer. I've got an 8-core laptop that still chokes on a single instance of their Neve 1073 plugin, but with the Octo core connected over USB 3, I can run 3 or 4 of those at once while still keeping my DAW stable. That's huge when you're doing parallel processing on drums or stacking amp sims for guitars. Another thing that blew me away was the plugin count. UA gives you access to over 90 plugins from brands like Ampex, Neve, and SSL, but you only buy the ones you actually need. I grabbed the Ampex ATR 102 for tape saturation, the Neve 31102 for EQ, and the SSL channel for compression. Each one loads instantly and sounds exactly like the hardware, which is something no software-only emulation has ever nailed for me. I was able to glue the whole mix with that trio and still have CPU to spare. I also love that it's portable. I mix on the road a lot, and being able to take the same plugins I use in the studio on my laptop without needing a PCIe slot is a game saver. The Octo core is bus powered, so you just plug in the USB cable, fire up your DAW, and you're good to go. No extra power brick, no extra cables. It's the kind of thing that makes you forget it's even there until you need it. Compatibility is another win. I'm mostly a Cubase user, but I also have sessions in Pro Tools and Ableton Live. The UAD-2 satellite works with all of them through VST, Arteus, or AX64-bit. I didn't have to switch DAWs or worry about format support, everything just loaded right up. That saved me a ton of time when I was swapping between projects. If you already own a UAD-2 PCIe card, you can chain this Octo core right alongside it. I've got an older quad-core card in my desktop, and adding the Octo core gives me 8 more Shark processors to play with. That means I can run even more instances of heavy plugins like the Ocean Way Studios Reverb or the Chandler Limited Curve Bender EQ without hitting any CPU limits. It's like having a whole extra studio rig for a fraction of the cost of buying new hardware. One thing I didn't expect was how quiet it runs. The fan is barely audible, even when I'm tracking late at night. I've used other DSP accelerators that sound like a jet engine, so this was a pleasant surprise. It also stays cool, which is always a plus when you're stacking gear on a small desk. Now, it's not perfect. The biggest downside is the price. Even with the current promotion, it's still a serious investment. If you're just starting out or only need a couple of plugins, you might be better off buying individual UAD plugins as you go. Also, while the Octo core is USB 3 compatible, you do need a good quality cable and a solid USB 3 port to avoid any hiccups. I had to swap out a cheap cable at first, but once I did, everything ran smoothly. All in all, if you're serious about mixing with authentic analog sound and you want the flexibility to work anywhere, the UAD-2 satellite USB Octo core is worth every penny. It's the kind of piece of gear that disappears once you set it up, but you notice immediately when it's not there. Check it out using the link below if you want to see the current pricing and any ongoing deals. I'll leave the details in the description so you can take a closer look. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.